Welcome to the Women in Control live virtual panel this week. My name is Nadia and I'm the founder of Women in Control. Today's webinar is all about being a boss female entrepreneur and how to find the courage to start your own business. If you're new to these panels, then welcome. I do them every Friday at 1 p.m. All different topics, and I have different guests every week. I also do Women in Control community classes, so you can join them on a Monday. We've got a fitness class at 12 p.m. We've got cooking classes. On Tuesday, we've just done a musician. Lauster is going to be taking us through setting up your home studio. On Wednesday, we do a cooking class with Spices and Hay at 6 p.m. On Thursday mornings, we do a meditation. And like I said, I'm here every Friday at 1 p.m. So just trying to really build a community aspect around these times. And for those of you that don't know, Women in Control is a platform that I started up a couple of years ago now. And I started it up because I really wanted to empower and inspire women that are working in the industry, inspire them to understand different ways that you can work in the industry, how you can get into the industry, and also empower women that are already working in the creative and business industry, and giving them a platform to share experiences where we can come together, share our knowledge, and also be inspired by other women. And I also really want to encourage us as women to really shout out about our achievements more too. So like I mentioned, today's panel is on boss female entrepreneurs and finding the courage to start your own business. So I'm going to get stuck into it right now. I'm really excited to have my special guest with me here today. Without further ado, I'd love to introduce Tiwa Genyo. And Tiwa is the founder and owner of Trap House Salon. So hi Tiwa, welcome.
Hi. Hi, thanks for having me.
No, I'm so excited. I've been itching all week to get into this conversation with you, because I'm just so inspired by your story, and I really resonate with a lot of your journey. And first of all, tell us a bit about yourself and also Trap House Salon, so everyone knows what is the business that you're currently running.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Tiwa. I own the Trap House Salon. It's a salon that has been around for literally nearly 2 years. It will be 2 years in July. It was an idea that I'd had for many years, but was very scared to go into it. And I eventually decided to so 2018, July 2018, I started my journey into the hair and beauty world. And it's been a journey to say the least, but it's definitely been worth it. So yeah.
So you started it in July 2018, so you're coming up to 2 years this year.
Mm-hmm. We've actually moved to unit, so we're in another unit before, but we're in a bigger unit now. There, and basically in the Palms, there's other businesses that are hair and beauty businesses too. It's like a hub for people to come and it's like a hair and beauty hub basically, but I own my own salon within there. So yeah.
Obviously, at being a salon, I'm assuming that you're closed with the current situation with coronavirus. So before we get stuck into the conversation of your journey, I'd love for you to share with us, how has this current situation affected you with coronavirus, and how have you managed to adapt your services and what you're doing as well for it?
So of course, when they told us that we all had to go into lockdown, it basically means, no contact with anyone except for your family, and that's even your family that you're living with. So at first, I'm not gonna lie, we kind of felt could we not just do the services on the down low, and just try and still give to the masses what they need. But I think it started to become very real when we started to realize that people were actually dying, especially within the African and Caribbean, amongst us African and Caribbeans, we're dying as well. So, well, at a more alarming rate. So I felt, do you know what, let's not be irresponsible, and let's try and just move with the times. So we provide services such as hair services, lashes, and nail services. So I thought, do you know what, the best thing to do is still be able to provide our customers with something that they can kind of do themselves. So we basically branched into selling press-on nails, lashes, wigs, and just giving them that feel good, just to their homes, if that makes sense, and being able to basically just send it across to them, and hopefully they feel good about themselves, even though we're in such a crappy situation right now.
So that's really cool that you've just really had to adapt really quickly and just move a lot of business online, and that you're still able to function in that way. So that's a good aspect, that you had already kind of set that up before the situation happened. Otherwise, I'm sure it would be a much different story for you, as I know that it is for some other businesses.
No, definitely. I mean, you know, I still have staff members that I still like want them to make money even in this crisis. So it definitely was like us coming together. Um, you know, me and my like staff members coming together and basically saying, okay, cool, how can we actually like get through this? Because it was very scary at first, like really, really scary, because of all the uncertainty, like not knowing like when this is gonna end, how long for, like all of these things, how severe it was. So I guess like within the last few weeks, we've definitely like put a lot of our energy into like the online shop, and where a lot of people would turn and actually be like, oh, but what can you actually sell in this crisis? You'd be surprised that there's a lot of people that actually still have money to like spend on these things. I mean, if you're not traveling to work anymore or doing certain things, there's that little bit of extra cash to like help you to feel good about yourself. So yeah, just not losing hope and just trying to move forward with it all.
Yeah, I feel like during this time, a lot of people are realizing how valuable our hair salons, our nail salons, like are, because yeah, I've had to do my own hair myself, and I bleach it, and yeah, it didn't go so well. But you know, we're trying. But I love that a lot of companies are trying to move a lot of their services virtual and still
Mhm.
keep that income coming in. As I've mentioned before in previous webinars, like I myself as a manager, it's really affected all my business. Everything was completely cancelled, and it's been a really known time for the last few weeks. I feel like people in the industry are, you know, starting to adapt. Everyone's really resilient. I love that every woman I'm speaking to in the industry, everyone's adapting and finding ways that we can still continue on and still make an income and still collaborate and still do business. So I'm finding that I'm having those new conversations now of ways that we can adapt, and I can make new deals happen for my artists in the current situation. So it's really good that we can adapt. But yeah, so obviously I wanted to get stuck into the main part of the panel, which is to talk about your journey, because I know you as a stylist, and I worked with you as a stylist many times over the years, and I saw your journey. I saw you kind of grow through the industry, and I saw you really get to a really successful point in the industry. And yeah, I wanted you to talk about that, because obviously being a stylist and breaking into that industry is no like mean feat at all. So take us through like how you got into styling, and who you styled, and your journey.
Okay, so to cut the longest story short, how I got into styling, it was actually by accident. It wasn't something that I was actually going for, but I knew that I definitely wanted to do something within fashion. So initially, I had this website that focused on music and fashion, and I would give you like the high street alternative to it. So, say for example, like you're watching Rihanna, whatever she was wearing, I gave you the high street alternative. So that kind of then grew into the idea of basically creating content online, like videos that people could basically look to see what the latest trends were. And I basically got like celebrity stylists to come on and actually tell us what the latest trends were, why they style certain music videos certain ways and stuff like that. But in order for them to basically like go like to come onto my platform, because at the time it didn't have like a massive following, so I really had to sell the idea of like, you know, this will be content for you and content for me and all these crazy ideas. And one of the things that all the celebrity stylists said to me is, fine, we'll come on board, we like the idea of what you're doing, but you'd need to source all the clothes. So I was like, oh my days, how do you do that? So then it was basically just taking a shot in the dark, literally stalking people all over Instagram, Google, trying to use like my LinkedIn, just trying to figure out like, how do I get to the person who does the PR for ASOS? How do I get to the person who does it for like Topshop? So it took a lot of like just being a serious stalker, as you came out, and this was like years ago. This is like 8 years ago. So I'm just going through social media, just trying to figure it all out. And then from there, I then came across a music artist manager. I was trying to do like a behind the scenes of why this style was like this, and maybe it was like how can I say, it was like a performance. And the manager took a liking to me because it was like, oh, I like this idea. Like, well, like what made you do it? And da da da. Would you be interested in having a mentor? So I was like, okay, I'd never really considered it, but fine, let's do it. And then from there, I basically had the mentor that really like helped me to kind of hone into like my skill set as a stylist, because he was like, you're getting all the clothes anyway, so wouldn't you just want to maybe branch out and maybe try and look into styling? And I kind of liked the idea, but again, like at that point in time, I was a single mother of two. So I was really like holding on to the hope that the dream of my website would really like flourish. But in the end, what actually happened is my career just took a detour, and I basically got into being a celebrity stylist. So I styled like a couple music artists here and there, but nothing really was like getting that, like it wasn't really like flourishing. And then eventually I think I got like my one like big break with a music artist called Bonkers. And from there, like literally I was taking shots in the dark. Like I would hit up Alexandra McQueen, like, do you think that you'd be interested in like clothing my artist? And it was really surprising, like brands would actually get back to me. And then I started to realize, you know what, actually, I think I can really actually do this. Let me put my full whole heart and soul into this. And then, yeah, from there, I ended up like styling quite a lot of people like Krept and Conan, Ty Dolla Sign, Little Sims, Nadia Rose. There was quite a lot. There was quite a lot. Like there was a period in my life where for like 2 years, I was constantly busy. I'd probably worked 4 years trying to get that overnight success, but as soon as it then happened, it literally was just like a train. It just kept going, kept going, kept going. It was like a snowball just going down like a hill and just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it got to the point that I then got to I got my, what I would say was like one of my big major breaks was doing film. So I did the film called The Weekend, which I was like one of the main stylists on that. And then kind of dibbled and dabbled in the world of like TV and film. So like I worked for like ITV, BBC, like just doing like up and coming shows and stuff like that. And then I finally got like a really big break when I got to style The Intent 2. And I remember watching The Intent, thinking to myself, I could style that so much better, and not knowing that those words were literally being thrown into the atmosphere. And then eventually, like I was asked to do, I had to fight for that job. Like it actually did not come easy to me. I really had to fight for it. There was someone else that was up for it that was way more qualified than me. But I guess I really gave like my heart and passion, like as in they gave me the script, I read the script and literally broke it down within 2 days of like where all the clothes were meant to go and da da da. And I proper showed them like I really wanted it, even though I didn't have the experience that they needed, which was probably like a couple years of experience in like film and TV. I was like, look, like just give me a chance. And yeah, they gave me a chance. And yeah, like it was probably definitely one of my biggest achievements in terms of like styling. I think I, as being young, like being in your teenagers, even like being in your 20s, like you almost walk around in life wondering like how's it all going to turn out. And I think just always trying to walk, like work and keep working and just keep believing in like what you're doing, it will definitely help you in the long run. And I definitely had like a lot of, like not a lot but quite a few people who were very instrumental in the rising of my career, who really like stuck their neck out for me. It was just like, look, like she's worth taking a risk on. Why don't you use her? Like I remember Krept and Conan, how I got that job was through Cadet. So I'd been working with Cadet, and he literally was just like, look, like she's a sick stylist, like just work with her, work with her. And then I ended up basically styling them for the cover of their 7 days and 7 nights EP, as well as styling Krept for the EMA carpet. And that was like the first time that they'd been on the EMA carpet. So yeah, it's just, yeah, basically.
Yeah, like you just explained, like some huge achievements as a stylist. And I feel why I feel like your journey and your story is so interesting is that outsiders, even like myself, who even people that had worked with you, like I'd worked with you on a number of occasions and I followed you, and I always loved your infectious energy. And I remember your website and your platform and the content that you were putting out through that. And you know, to everyone else, it looked like you were just living the dream. Like you'd done it, you'd done the hard graft, you'd worked for 4 years, like you said, to like really try and make those connections with artists, and now you were working with everybody. Everywhere I was looking, you were styling them, and I was like, wow, you're doing so well. And I remember I booked you for a photo shoot with one of my artists, and I think this is probably, I can't remember, is it about 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago? It's within that period. And I remember you just being a bit more subdued at that. And you even, obviously, we were close to them speaking at that time. And I remember you saying to me that you weren't happy as we were talking, like kind of behind the scenes of the shoot. And I was a bit taken aback by that. So I'd love you to kind of talk us about that, like what made you and what drove you to want to change like your career completely.
I mean, I had once I'd realized that I had the skill set to like be like a stylist, because again, like it's not just about going to shops and like buying clothes or like going to all the fancy fashion parties. Like there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. So, you know, like having to harvest relationships with like PR companies and getting what they need from them borrowing clothes to you, or, you know, trying to get an artist to see a different direction in terms of like their clothing, in terms of like where they're meant to be, and working with like different people. Like it was definitely hard at certain times. And again, when I was styling, it was at a point where, you know, the fashion industry was really looking at you know, like the urban like crowd, and looking at us and thinking, do you know what, actually there's some real, like there's some skin in the game, like we could actually make money from like putting clothes on these guys. I think for me, one of the biggest struggles was basically not getting what you were worth. So a lot of the time, like I was like, a lot of the content that you saw in a lot of artists was, the artists that I worked with anyway, was a lot of the time me trying to push for that type of content to be out there. Like quite a lot of the pictures that Cadet, like they've used for his tribute and things like that, that was a lot of like me going, look, Cads, we need to like get a photo shoot in. What's it for? It doesn't need to be for anything. Let's just keep creating content and keep making ourselves relevant. And I think, aside from himself and a few others that I worked with, I think there came a point in time where I felt very undervalued, and I felt like people didn't really understand what I was trying to bring to them as a stylist. Because you know, you can't just be a stylist, you've got to look at the bigger picture of everything else. And I mean, I would like, unfortunately, Cadet dying, but we were already getting a clothing label together. We were trying to do campaigns with people within Europe. Like there were things that were basically in progress, and it took it was a bit of that. And it was just, I don't think I actually realized I was over it until I got to Jamaica. And for me, like getting to do a film and being called head stylist, like that was probably one of the most pinnacle moments for me. But I wasn't happy while I was doing it. And it took actually a conversation with Popcorn, which is like what's it called, a dancehall artist out there, for him to basically like have a conversation with me, inadvertently not realizing that he was basically making me realize I just wasn't as happy. Like I was saying it, but I wasn't feeling it, because you don't have time to think. Like when you're getting booked, and a lot of the time I was getting booked off of recommendations. I wasn't getting booked off of me asking for a job. It was a lot of the time of, oh yeah, like I became a name that would come up in conversations that I had only prayed for years ago. And having it all then made me realize that no, maybe this isn't really what I want to do. Like I want to put my heart and soul into something else. And I had to realize as well that I was getting to the age of 30. I had 2 kids, and I was like, what would I leave them? If, like, say today, like, you know, even the likes of someone like Cadet dying, like, once he dies, that's everything, like the work and everything gone. Like, obviously, it lives forever in memory, but that's nothing that I can actually pass on to my children. I mean, I decided to do the salon before he'd even passed away, but I think it was actually just coming to the point of realizing that styling is sometimes a young people's game. You really have to have a lot of stamina and energy. Like those suitcases will not pull themselves. So you have to get you have to understand it isn't just a mental thing, it's a physicality thing. And I think for me it was understanding that, okay, you're getting older, you're not as young as you like look, because you look young, but your body's not saying that. And I want to be able to pass something down to my children that, God, something happened to me today, I'd be able to say, all right, cool, this is what I've built for you. So, I mean, the styling definitely, I wouldn't have been able to do what I do now without that. Like that, even the film itself, being in the film industry is very go, 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 go. So, like, you know, and you get held accountable for everything, like even down to the belt that they wear, you are held accountable. So, yeah, I think for me, it was just, it was conversations. And I think your spirit always kind of knows when your time is up with something, it's time to move on. And it was just this voice in the back of my head that was like, it's time, it's time, it's time. And it's very uncomfortable, especially when you're used to doing something and you are used to, you know, earning your money a certain way, like, and you're used to a certain industry and how things operate. Like I was very used to it, but it was like, no, in order to become the next best thing, the next best version of myself, I have to come out of my comfort zone. So yeah, that's what made me leave and say, "Do you know what, even if I fall flat on my face, at least I tried. But if I don't try, I will never know what my life could have been had I taken a different road." So yeah, that was it in full.
I think one of the most important things that you said there was that you weren't happy. And
Mm,
I know that I've called this panel like finding the courage to start your own business, but I don't necessarily feel like everybody needs to go out there and start their own business. But what I
mm,
do believe everybody needs to do is find what you love, find your passions, and work in a field or an industry in something that you're passionate about, because we spend 80% of our lives working, and if you're not doing something that makes you happy, it is going to have an impact on your health, on your personal life, on your happiness in
mm.
general. So that's something that's really important. But also another thing that I took from that is, like I said, from the outside, your life would look great on social media. You were styling, you were posting all these great shoots that you were doing amazing projects. And so don't ever judge anybody's else's journey by
No.
just looking at social media, because you never know what's going on in somebody's life. And actually we all have like challenges that we're facing. But I love your journey and I love what you've done, because you chased your happiness and you followed that. And like you said, it is so hard to break into the styling industry, and to have done that is an accomplishment in itself. But then to recognize and say, do you know what, I want more for myself because I'm not getting the happiness that I deserve here. And then to follow your passion to make that dream happen for yourself and actually to put it into action is just one of the most inspiring things. So so talk us through that. Like obviously you mentioned that you had that idea in the back of your head about
Mm.
creating the salon. So how did you actually go about making it become a reality?
So I'd been kind of saving money anyway, because I was like, okay, let's just have something on the back burner just in case of anything. And then I did the film. We finished January 2018. I've come back from Jamaica and I'd had conversations with my brother. He's like, whenever I go into business, I always go into business with him, because he's like smarter than me in certain ways. I've got the ideas. He's the person that makes me like action it and think of things in different like perspectives. So I came back from Jamaica and I was like, look, at first actually I thought I wanted to just sell hair, and then I said to him, I was like, you know what, no, you know what, I've had this vision and I really want to like create this salon, but I don't want it to be like every other salon that I go to, because I'm tired of going and feeling like I'm at war with like every other woman in there. I was like, look, I want to basically encourage a different experience. I want it to be fun. I want it to be the kind of place that if Cardi B came to London, it would be one of the first places that she thinks of to come to. And when I explained that to him, he was like, do you know what, I believe in you, I know that you can do it, just figure it out. So I had a premises that I basically had been able to get like quite a good price. I was like, okay, cool. Can I like let's just think about basically going into the space and like just let's stand there for a moment and just envision it. So I remember standing inside the premises and I was just like, nah, I'm gonna make this happen. This has to happen. So I remember though it took a lot of conversations, and I think when you are trying to like it works for different people, but I'm a big daydreamer, and I'm the type of person where I like to talk a lot in regards to like people that I trust. I will tell them like what it is that I want to do, and I think through talking you kind of figure out, you kind of strip it away and start to realize what exactly you want. I think when you're not talking about something that you're very passionate about, you don't get to what it exactly is that you need or what you want or what you're trying to do. So I remember I had three friends that were very 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 instrumental to me getting the trap house started. So I had my first friend, who's Tanika, who I'd known from when I was like from secondary school. I've known her since I was 11. So I'm for whoa, 21 years. Wow. So she was the person that would take me IKEA, B&Q. She was the ride or die. I mean, there was a point in time before I opened, the sewer had basically let rip in my toilet and I had to clear that. She was there with me. So things like that, like she was my ride or die. I then had my friend Aaliyah, which some people know as Aaliyah Maria B. And she basically helped me to visualize the idea of what I wanted. And she was the one that actually kind of helped me with the name as well. So yeah, that she was there, and she'd be the person that would call me, if not week in, week out. What have you done? What's the next thing you've done? Okay, cool. Why haven't I heard you done anything for 2 weeks? Like, she really held me accountable. And then I had another friend called Tina, and she was like my marketing genius. So I would tell her all my ideas in terms of like, this is what I want. I want it to be like this and da da da. And she'd be like, okay, cool. Why don't you consider doing like this? So that I had very selfless friends who helped me. Like, if I've ever I've ever heard the word like it takes a village, it really does. And then as well, I had my mentor as well, who was there to basically be like, all right, cool, let's see how it ends up in the end. But he definitely checked in on me at certain periods, and had me thinking about different things as well. So yeah, though I can't lie, if I didn't have that, as much as I have that self-determination within me, I think people need to understand that this whole narrative of, self-made doesn't really exist. I think the most successful businesses have had at least 2 3 different voices that have been there. And even if there are people that are just like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. Like, people thought I was crazy when I was painting the salon black, like gloss black, everything. Everybody thought I'd lost my mind. I remember my uncle walking in there and is like, ah, are you trying to do a disco? I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even expect you to understand. Like, people thought I was crazy. I think I only started to realize that it was becoming a reality when one day my mum walked into the salon, and it was kind of like half done, but I'd like kind of put up like the mirrors, the chairs, and she sat and she looked around and she was like, nah, this is money well spent. And I knew in that moment, without like, African mothers, sometimes they can be so hard with the way that they try and tell you that well done. But that was her way of basically telling me that, well done, you've actually like used your common sense. I can see it. And it was weird because where it was as well was right next to a garage. Like, this is when we were in East London. It was right next to a garage, and like it was in a very undesirable place. But that was why the trap house was like so unique, because it's just like, it's a space where from the outside it looks like, what the hell, and then when you walk in it's just like, oh my days. So I was definitely scared putting, because that's what I see in my mind. It's my vision. It's my baby. It's the way that I love on it. It's like my child, basically. So letting the world into, or at least East London, into what I believe a salon should kind of look like. People kind of thought I was nuts until it was done. And then when they now walked in, it was like, oh, I get it. And I really do believe like I set trend for like creating atmospheres like within salons, because I've seen other salons now try and basically, not, I wouldn't say copy, but definitely taking into consideration how important the environment is. And again as well, when it came to like customer service and things like that, there was just so many ideas that I just wanted it to be so different. And yeah, like getting there was definitely took me about a year to like get round to the idea of, one, I'm leaving styling forever. um I mean, I will probably return in one way or the other, but like at that point it was like, I'm leaving it forever, and I'm about to go into something that I don't actually have any real knowledge in, but I'm willing to learn all the things I need to learn to get there. So yeah.
But honestly, it's so inspiring because you had that courage to do it. And I definitely can relate to a lot of people being like, no, what are you doing? You're leaving something behind. Like, you're crazy. But doing a salon as well, it's a really highly competitive industry. But I feel like what you've created is you put your personality on it. And like you said, I do think that you were one of the first ones I saw on social media using like making the salon like an Instagrammable kind of moment where everyone wants to like share it, and it's like an experience, and you make it just be more than just a salon that just lives in a premises. It's something that's bigger than that. It's got a personality, it's got a brand vision, it's got an identity, it's got a personality, and you can see that all coming from you. So no, that's incredible. But yeah, I wanted to share a little bit about my journey as well, because obviously we're today talking about finding the courage to start your own business and follow your dreams. So I've had to do that 2 times in my career. So first of all, when I started out, I was 21 years old. I had just got my first job in the music industry in PR, and literally within a year of having that job, I'd risen to like the top of the company and was running their publicity. And I'd made really good connections with the artists, and I just was like really bullheaded, really driven, really determined, that plan of what I wanted to do in the industry. I wanted to do PR, have my own company, and then go into management. So I just was like, you know what, I'm leaving, I'm going to start my own business up. And everyone told me I was completely crazy, but I just had this undying and unwavering belief in myself that I'm going to succeed in this. So people were like, why would you leave that comfort and the security of having that income coming in? Like, are you going to be able to get paid? And it was a risk, but I obviously spoke to all my clients beforehand and kind of calculated that I would be able to be earning a certain amount of income. And I went from earning like under £1,000 a month on that salary to like tripling my income within 3 months time. But obviously when you run your own business, there's other challenges. Like, I'm now responsible for ensuring that that money just doesn't dry up after 6 months. So not the first time in my life and my career, but I feel like at that point when I was so young, I just was like, just so driven. I didn't really have that fear in me. I was just like, just go for it. The second time in my life was, obviously I've done management for over 16 years, and I've been in the industry for over 19 years. And I've been doing management now for quite a long time. And due to personal reasons, I decided to go into a music management company and take a salary. You know, there are a lot of struggles to running your own business. It can be difficult to maintain that income all the time. And like I said, due to personal reasons, I really wanted to take a step back and try something different. And I thought that this could be a good route for me to go down. So I went into a 9-to-5, taking a purely salary job and still continuing to do music management. And I loved it for the first year, because I'm sure T-Wes, you can relate as well. Running your own business, it can be really isolating. So the first year, I really loved that there was like colleagues, and I was able to like mingle with them. And obviously we're working in the music industry, so we were going to festivals, going to concerts, going to after parties, and I kind of embraced that and I loved it. And I was just like, oh, this is great. But a year passed, 2 years passed, 3 years passed, and you know, I wasn't getting any opportunities within this company. I wasn't getting promoted. I was putting myself forward for promotions. I was putting myself forward for different projects, and I just was getting overlooked by all of them. But I still stayed in this job, and my salary didn't raise. And I really just lost my spirit of myself and who I was. I really just became like a mundane. I was going to work, just going through the 9-to-5, and then just leaving again. So I'd really lost my passion for why I got into the industry. And it wasn't until I had like a life-changing health incident that like really knocked me for 6, where I just was at home trying to recover from this life-changing health situation, and everyone was around me and was going, don't worry, you know, you're going to be fine, you'll be back up on your feet, you're going to get back to work in no time. And I just started crying, and I broke down, and I was just like, I hate my job, I don't want to go back there, I just feel completely lost. And I feel like that was like the lowest point in my life, like completely. It was just, I just felt just, I'm just stuck here, I'm immobile due to my health condition, and everyone's telling me to get strong to go back to work, but how am I going to use that as a motivation? So I decided then and there that I was going to hand my notice in, but I didn't know at the time, like if I was going to be able to sustain it. But I just had to get out for my own sanity and for my own happiness. So I handed my notice in, and I really believe in timing. I really believe in destiny. I really believe in having like that belief in yourself that pushes you to drive you forward. And if you can believe the timing of this, I handed my notice in and left in February, I think it was 2011. And then in March 2011, I created a clothing brand with my artist, Lethal Bizzle, that just completely blew up. It went viral along social media. And within a year, from having 0, I ended up buying my house. So it just was like a complete transformation of my life. But I look back at it, and I guess I could still be annoyed at myself for staying for so long. Like, why did I stay in this job for so long where I wasn't happy, right? And I do feel like that health incident was a big kick up the bum for me, to be like, or a slap in the face, to be like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you still there? And, you know, it went against everything that I'd ever done in my life. You know, I just kind of gave up. I just was like, oh, it's hard. I just need a break. I need to step back and stuff. And it was like, you know, it wasn't the right decision. So that was the hardest decision for me, was just making that change. But it just turned out to be a risk that paid off for me. And I wanted to talk about like what holds us back from making those decisions, because, you know, it's all well and great having dreams and ideas of what you want to do, but you have to be rational about making decisions. You know, you can't just take crazy risks, and because we've got responsibilities, we've got jobs, we may have bills to pay, we've got mortgages, we might have children, like you said, Tiwa, we've got, you know, these things. But one of the biggest things that holds us back from us moving forward and following our dreams is the fear of failure. And it's ourself, it's our own fear of failure. And I've been really like dissecting down, like, what is the fear of failure? What are you afraid of? Like, are we afraid of, you know, showing people on social media that we've failed? You know, do we feel like we have to live up to them? Are we worried about like our friends or what our family may say? Are we concerned about like naysayers? I feel like a lot of people come in around you and say, don't do this, you can't do this, you know, it's never going to work. And like you mentioned, Tiwa, I love getting advice from people, and I agree with you. Like, I feel like it takes a village. There's people that have my back and support me. I always get advice from as many people as I can when I'm looking to make decisions, but I don't listen to them like fully. I don't go, oh, I'm going to do whatever you say, because you have to take what they're saying and understand it, but do what's right for you, follow your instinct, you know? So I just wanted to ask you as well, like, what do you think are those things that like held you back from going to follow your dreams and following your passions? You mentioned with the Trap House Salon, like, you didn't really put your name to it at the beginning. I think that's a really good tactic and technique, especially when you're somebody that works in the industry. I feel like you've got more of a spotlight on you and you've got more judgment on you. I wanted to talk about, like, you know, practically how we go about starting up businesses with these things that can hold us back, because there are really viable reasons. And I can see a lot of people in the chat saying that, you know, financial reasons is like a massive part of like holding us back from like being able to make that change. And I can definitely relate to that. But what advice that I would give on that side is trying to set up as much as you can as possible before you actually make that transition. So I've always done that. I do have a free guide on my website which you can download, which takes the steps to like starting your own business and how to handle your finance. But you definitely don't want to be making that jump and just jumping into the unknown if you're not going to be making that income, or you don't know that this is a viable opportunity for you. So, you know, trying something on the side. And I love what Tiwa said about doing it as an anonymous thing and starting up your business and just testing it out and testing the waters and seeing what the response is going to be. And then you can make that full transition when you know that this is going to be a fully viable business. So I did that in both my instances. Before I went and handed my notice in, you know, as much as I was in a down place, I had to really calculate and understand, all right, how am I going to pay my bills? How much money realistically will I have coming in? And I calculated that I was going to have enough to pay my like basic bills, but it wasn't gonna, you know, change my life. But obviously, like I said, I do believe in that timing and destiny and making things happen for yourself because you believe in it. And had I have stayed in that job, all that money that I had made from my commissions would have gone to the company and I would have been stuck with just my salary. But I was the generator of that business. But again, maybe I wouldn't have started the business up and started the clothing label up in that way, because I did it from that drive. And you have to have that guttural instinct, that passion, because running your own business is not easy. It is difficult. You're gonna, you know, you have to believe in yourself. Like, there's going to be so many challenges, hurdles that you have to overcome. Like, you know, we can talk today with Tiwa and say, oh, it's so inspirational, but I know, you know, you've got a baby business that, you know, it's nearly 2 years old. You're dealing with this pandemic, this coronavirus, which is having an impact. You're having to adapt to that. And I know it's not easy for you, you know, running your salon every day. So yeah, I wanted to go into a bit more practical advice of, like, you know, running actual business and what are the hurdles that you have to overcome and the challenges that you've had to overcome in running this business, and like, what advice would you give to anybody that's looking to start their own business or change their career path?
I think for me, one of my worst fears was I remember one time, I remember thinking to myself, one of my worst fears is if I'd have to leave the premises that I was in, where you become very like stuck. Like once it starts to work, you get stuck. You go, yo, my worst fear happened when the ceiling collapsed, completely collapsed. Basically, a water leak started to happen to the point where the whole ceiling collapsed. Now, when I tell you, I thought that was the end of my business. I couldn't even see past that whole situation. This happened like last year, July, and I honestly felt like life was over. And what it taught me was that, do you know what? In these very trying moments, you have to learn to pivot. And even if it feels unshaky and unstable, as long as you have belief in yourself, one way or the other, you will get through it. And I think a lot of the time, what our thing is just not understanding that we can get through anything. We've been through worse before, so we can get through anything. So I think when you're trying to think of like transitioning into like starting your own business, I would say just be realistic enough with yourself to tell yourself that sometimes it's just not going to work. There'll be certain ideas that are not going to work, but it's okay. There are many like kind of marketing campaigns that I tried out while I'm doing Trap House. Didn't work. Another thing I would say is if you can, save for if you're going to make the mistake 3 times, if that makes sense to anyone. Like, save like you're going to make about 3 or 4 big major mistakes and you'll kind of be okay through it all. But yeah, I think it's I don't think when you're going from like working to starting your own business, I don't think that there's really any real practical advice. You're just literally just going for the wind, and you're just trying your best and you're putting your everyday into it. As long as you put your heart into it, honest to God, like I promise you, it will flourish in the way that it needs to flourish. It might mean that you need to pivot, and it's the idea, but it's kind of like it's formed into something else. Be open to that, because what I wanted it to be at first and what it's actually become, I wouldn't say are too different from each other, but there are some differences that if I just thought, no, it has to be my way, it wouldn't be able to basically flourish in the way that it has. So yeah, I would definitely say like just go for it with the intention that it's going to go well. But if it doesn't go well, you will be okay. And even if money is lost, it is fine. Like, I can't explain to you, like in the first month of my business opening with 0 real marketing, like I was making like maybe about 6-7 grand off of one service. So I do lashes, nails, and hair. I was making that on lashes alone. And I was like, whoa. But when I tell you, maybe 6 months down the line, when you try and figure out a new formula and you're losing that money, I was like, yo, why did I change something that wasn't broken? But then you go back to it and it's like, oh, things are okay again. But if I didn't know, I wouldn't be able to advise the next person that's going, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. You might want to stick with something for a year first before you start doing something else. So yeah, like there's so many lessons that you're going to learn, but just be open, because I can't lie, fear drove a lot of my life until I decided that I didn't want to be scared anymore. So it's entirely up to you.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm telling you, like fear of failing is the number one factor that holds us back in our life. What advice would you give to yourself now that you know before you started your business?
It's gonna be okay, baby girl. If I told myself that, I probably I would have tried it a lot earlier, I think. But again, like I had to go through this journey to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. But I think another thing I would say to myself is don't be so hard on yourself. And why are you always thinking of the negatives? What's the positives from this? Again, like I'm a big daydreamer, so I think I would definitely have told myself then, believe in your dreams, like really believe in it, like have this unwavering belief that anybody comes to you to take, like, no, no, and I know I'm gonna succeed. I know I'm going to, like become a household name. I know, like, and I think it's once you can actually say that without any kind of doubt, you kind of at first when you say it to yourself have a little doubt there, but if you keep repeating it to yourself every single day, you will get there. The positive affirmations are very, very important, and it's very important how you speak to yourself. I think when you talk quite negatively to yourself, you will only fail, if that makes sense. So yeah, I wish I just told myself, don't be too hard on yourself. You will get there, but believe in your wildest dreams. That's what I would tell myself. Believe in your wildest dreams, and that's what I hope I can obviously say to my kids. I hope as they see me do what I do, they understand, because they've seen that struggle from like the beginning to like where we are now. And I would hope that they would look at that and be like, okay, I know I can do it. One way or the other.
I would add to that, just to always believe in yourself. Like, I feel like I let other people get in my head. I let, my confidence be slipped. I let myself fall backwards. I lost my spirit. I've lost my hunger. And I'd love to give myself a slap back then and be like, what are you doing? Like, wake the hell up. What are you doing, girl? Like, you're just ruining and wasting your life. So, like I said, I do look back and I'm annoyed at myself, but at the same time, I believe in timing is everything. I believe that everything happens for a reason. And I believe that I got that health incident to give me that kick to push me, and positive things happened from it. So I really do believe that believing in yourself and just going and following your passions will make you successful. And I honestly believe this from the bottom of my heart. So I'm going to try and find some questions, because I know there's some in there, but it's hard to find them in the chat. But Sheena said that there's an amazing exercise that helps to rewire our brains, which is a really effective way of changing the narrative in our heads. And for every negative thought, immediately think of 3 positive thoughts. Requires you to be much more consciously aware of what you're thinking, but once you start practicing this, it will become habit. And I can definitely resonate with that. And I feel even talking to somebody, like talking to a friend and practicing this is something that is really good practice and can really help, because when you speak it out, your fears, and speak out and work out what's the worst that can happen, and then you focus on the positive things that are going on in your life, it helps you put into perspective what's going on. Because running your own business, like doing this, it's not going to be easy. You're going to be faced with challenges every day, but always remember to reflect on the positive and see how blessed you are in your situation.
No, definitely. I think like you said, like you can focus so much on negatives and forget about all the great things that are actually happening around you. So like, even for me in this whole corona situation, I've literally had to sit back and go, okay, it's not the best situation right now, but what am I actually really thankful for? And it can be everything, all the way down to just the simple fact that I'm able to breathe and I'm able to actually see this crisis through. It can seem very daunting, but actually, like, just the minuscule things that you are so grateful for, trust me, because there's someone out there that probably doesn't have the ability to breathe easily by themselves, who hasn't got, like, that can't taste, can't see, there's all these things that you could actually be battling with. And I think you need to be, not to say that your issues are small or making it seem like, oh, it's not a big deal, but what I'm saying is just finding the gratitude within the things that you can actually hold and touch and see and experience. When you actually sit back and think about it, you will start to realize that life isn't so bad. And you know what? It doesn't last forever. So whatever bad scenario, you have to understand that for me, when I was building my salon, I had questions down to, where am I going to get my staff from? How am I going to pay for the next month? How does taxes and all these things start to work themselves out, like bit by bit? But you have to kind of know that it's going to work itself out and make those steps towards it. But it's okay to not know, but you will figure it out as long as you are searching for the answer, whether it be through your actions or actually reading things or whatever. But like, you'll be okay. Like, honestly, just be grateful every step of the way. If something bad happens, I'm so grateful for it, because I learned something from it. Like, I could tell you some wild stories right now, but yeah, like, I've been very grateful for the things, the difficult times that I faced through the salon, because I didn't think I could actually get through it, and I did. So
yeah, and definitely, and overcoming those challenges, it makes you stronger in the long run. And I'm constantly learning. Like, I've been doing this for how many years, and every week I'll find new challenges, or I'll be pushed under circumstances that I wouldn't feel like I've experienced before, but I'm learning and like overcoming those challenges and learning to deal with those just like gives you so much like reward inside. Yvonne has asked, any advice about knowing your vision but sometimes being unsure about the next steps and whether you're going to be able to bring your vision into fruition?
Do you know what? When I didn't know the next step of where to go, I asked. I would ask like someone that I felt may know the answer, and if they don't know the answer, they might know someone who knows the answer. So that's one thing. Google is always your best friend. But as well as that, try it. Try whatever it is that you're not too sure of doing. So say for example, like I'd give you an example, like I was trying to look for staff. I didn't know how to look for staff. I just threw it up on Instagram. And then somehow, some way, someone will forward it to someone, and you attract what you put out there. So if you're trying to find those answers, the answers will come to you, but you have to make the actions to actually look for it. So yeah, like mine was always just asking people, and if not, then kind of Googling it, or just so I don't know how to explain the searching, but it really is just searching. Even if like you're on Instagram and like you're looking for like hashtags and stuff, like you can always find the answer one way. And if no one really has the answer, then try it. Try it. Like, what's the best way to make a sweet cocktail? Try it then. Try ways in which, like, add sugar if that's the common sense thing. And if not, then find other ways of doing it. But you're never gonna actually know until you try it. I think a lot of the time we're trying to find someone to give us the exact answer, and we're not willing to go on the journey to figure it out. We're not willing to do the trials and the errors before we get there. So I would say try it. Whatever it is that you're trying to, just try it.
And it's from an anonymous attendee who says, raising capital and investment, I'm not sure how much I need and if my business plan is ready.
I would say when it comes to money, try and think of all the things that you need to do that don't cost that much. So one thing for me that started to make the idea come to life was simple things like buying my domain, getting my Twitter or my Instagram handle. All of these little things that you don't really think of that significant but really are significant, get those things into place. I think business plan is very important because it helps you kind of map your way. I'm not going to lie to you though, I didn't have a business plan. I kind of just went off the cuff and just started doing things. But would I have had a business plan? Yes, I would have. And I've learned to adapt to having business plans in place moving forward with my business, definitely. But yeah, I would definitely say, yeah, when it comes to raising the capital and stuff, you know, I know there's things like kind of like crowdfunding, but what can you actually do? Like if it's a product, I know a lot of the time we think of like 5 different products. Start with that one flagship product, that one product that's like, that you know will probably sell the best, and start with that and make that. Like a lot of my ideas, like in terms of like, we're even sending things like sanitizers and things like that. That's literally just, okay, cool. How do I make sanitizer? I tried all these different ways of making sanitizer, found the right way to then make it, found the right way that it would make sense with my brand, and then move forward with it. And we've been sending them. Do you know what I mean? Like, this doesn't mean that I'm a chemist. It doesn't mean that, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm the world-renowned person who knows how to make antibacterial, but I figured out a way. So figure out a way that I think a lot of the time we want to outsource the work. Think of the things that you can do first that doesn't necessarily require, and even if it does, like, say for example, you're trying to make a website and you're trying to figure out like how to code. YouTube is your best friend. Figuring out how to code, how to do things. Just try and do certain things by yourself first, and you'll be very surprised how far it will take you in regards to like getting to that final like destination of your idea. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's such good advice. Like, and I'm a huge advocate for that as well. Like, and this is something that I practice every day and through my life, in my career, in my business, is doing so much myself so that I'm self-reliant. And definitely when you're starting your own business, you want to keep costs down. Like I mentioned before, you've got an idea or you've got a business that you want to set up and you want to test it out. You want to build and set it up as much as possible before you actually make that commitment to jump and leave. I do have a guide, a free downloadable guide that's on my website about starting your own business. And I am going to be doing more in-depth sessions of a step-by-step process into starting your own business. And also my website, the womenincontrol.com website, I created that myself. You know, get your domain, and it's not expensive to do things like that. Get your business set up, get your social media handles set up, and you know, think about your strategies, test things out before you actually make that jump and move. So no, thank you so much, Tiwa. I feel like you're so inspiring. Like, you just had so many gems.
Thank you so much for everyone that kind of tuned into this, because I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, what could I actually give you guys? But even as I'm speaking, I'm like, oh wow, like I'm thinking of my journey and thinking, wow, I've actually come a very long way. And I really hope that with everything that both myself and Nadia like told you guys today, I really like implore, like I can't explain to you how amazing it is on the other side of like your fears and on the other side of your ideas. Like, you could literally be like the next, like for me, I'm saying that like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be like the next millionaire and whatever else I put my fingers in. But I just want you to understand that in the worst of times, the best things happen. Like, trust me, just be open to it. But thank you so much for like just hearing what I had to say today. Like, I really appreciate it. Thank you, man.
You're so inspiring. Like, you're sneaky as well, because I didn't know that the trap house was you until when I saw it. I was like, oh, wow. I was just so impressed, and I just connected it and put two and two together, and I was like, that's why she was saying that she wasn't happy and she made it happen. And that's just the most inspirational thing. And to like share your story and to share your experiences with everybody is just incredible. And just keep doing what you're doing. Like, the Trap House it's such an incredible salon. It's got such a unique perspective, and wish you all the best for the future. And I really appreciate you doing this. So thank you so much for all your time. And yeah, thanks to everyone that joined and everybody in the chat. I know you're looking to connect, but it'd be great to get some feedback if you want me to like set up a kind of group or something like that, so that you guys can continue chatting, because so that you can exchange details and stuff. So let me know, drop me an email or a message on Instagram. And yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks, Tiwa. Bye.
Bye.